You've probably at some point heard a finance expert or maybe a property guru say something like, don't pay off your bond, that it's good debt. Or cheap debt. You might have heard that it's got tax advantages. You've probably heard someone tell you not to be scared of debt, to make it your friend. Use it to your advantage. We are going to explore every single one of these concepts in this video. Which ones are accurate, which ones are a little dicey, and which ones are blatantly incorrect. I'm Sebolelo, aka Sebolelo the Estate Agent, and welcome to the channel where we help you make decisions that will positively affect you as a first-time home buyer and a first-time home owner. There's a saying that goes, where you stand depends on where you sit, meaning your outlook on life will be affected by your previous experiences, your current situation, as well as where you intend to go. Now, as a content creator, in every video, I always say on the channel where we blah, 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 for first-time home buyers and first-time home owners. That is because my content is created for first-time home buyers and first-time home owners. So if you have a residential property and 3 investment properties, the content on this channel is not created with you in mind. Maybe you have or are getting your first property, but you want to get others in the future. I can help you with this first step, but as your strategy changes, you will have to revert to other content creators. And I can assure you that there is a lot of content for property investors out there, and substantially less that are concentrated purely towards people that are wanting to get into their property, that first step into property, maybe want to upgrade at some point and then just live happily ever after in your home. And that is part of the reason why I started this channel in the first place. So why the long introduction? I think sometimes we end up taking advice from people who have a different strategy from us. Someone who is a national figure skater is going to walk into the gym for, let's say, 2 hours, and in that time, he's going to do something completely different from somebody who is a national rugby player. It's both national athletes, completely different strategy. And that is because their final destination is not the same place. So when experts say property is good debt, they mean you buy a property today for 500,000. After, let's say, 7 years, your debt is now 400,000, but the property is worth 700. So you've used debt to your advantage. However, debt is still debt. A car is generally considered to be a liability. You buy a car today for 600,000. After 3 years, it's only worth 400,000. If you don't make your car repayments, the bank repossesses the car, you damage your credit, you have financial drama, you're in trouble because of debt. When you can't afford your property, you get harassed the same way, you risk repossession the same as a car, even though we say the car is a liability. And unless you're using debt as a business strategy, you're exposing yourself to risk. Now, your residential property is not a business strategy. Now, maybe at some point you'll decide you want to buy a second or a third property, which means you are now changing your strategy. But as long as you are living in your residential home, you don't want to have any debt on it that you can afford to reduce. Another thing we'll hear from experts is that debt on property has a tax advantage. Okay. When you make extra income from an investment property, SARS sees it as extra income, which means you can deduct any expenses from it before they tax you on it. So this will be things like rates, any improvements against the property, levies, if there are any. So let's, for example, say you've got a tenant that is paying you 12,000 Rand. You claim back 1,000 Rand for rent, 2,000 for levies, and let's say 1,000 Rand for management fees to the estate agency. If you have a bond on that property and the repayment is, let's say, 5,000 Rand, you can claim that as well as an expense, meaning now you only get taxed on 3,000, obviously meaning you'll pay less tax. But what did I start with? SARS sees it as extra income, meaning there's a business aspect to it, meaning you're living in one property and renting out the second. Don't be the figure skater watching people drinking protein shakes and lifting weights. Different sport, different strategy. There are zero benefits to having debt on a residential property in South Africa. I know that there are some countries where you can claim back things like rates from your residential property, sometimes interest on the bond amount, but not in South Africa. Another thing we're told is to make debt your friend. Don't be scared of it. There are thousands of businesses that have collapsed as a result of debt. So to me, that doesn't even make 100% business sense, period. Many of the businesses that have survived economic crashes are the ones that had enough cash at their disposal to take advantage of the companies that were bleeding. The same thing happens with property. When the economy takes a knock and interest rates go up, you may well find yourself in a very dangerous place. When interest rates were at the highest, I was at the doctor's and I was complaining that my bond repayments have gone up so high and like I'm really struggling. And he said to me, Sebolelo, oja joy, because your car is paid off. My son and his wife, they live in Cape Town. Between the cars and the house, their repayments have gone up by 20,000 Rand. I have no idea what they do or how much they earn. So I don't know what 20,000 Rand feels like for them, right? But can you imagine if their bond and their cars were paid off? That is literally 20,000 Rand less stress every month. To basically wrap things up, when experts say don't pay off your bond, they are not talking about your residential property. Remember, where you stand depends on where you sit. I've likely already recorded a video explaining why you should pay off your bond and pay it off ASAP. You'll find the link on the screen and in the description below. Catch you next Monday.